At 2:28 a.m. on April 11, 1995, 19-year-old Sonja Engelbrecht stepped into this plexiglass cube to call her sister for a ride. Minutes later, the receiver swung empty, and Munich's safest streets swallowed her whole. 25 years passed before a lone femur surfaced in a Bavarian ravine, raising more questions than answers. Who wrapped her in a painter's blanket, drove her 100 kilometers north, and buried her where only the forest could keep a secret?
Welcome to CrimeByte.
In this channel, we peel back the layers of those hidden realities, raw evidence, conflicting testimonies, and emotional pleas for help that too often come too late. By looking into these crime bites, you'll see firsthand how broken trust, systemic oversights, and chilling motives can converge into stories that rattle us to the core. If you find this exploration as vital as we do, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notifications button. Together, we can shine a light on the cases that demand attention, ensuring every voice, especially the silenced, finds the audience it deserves. It was Monday night, 10th of April 1995, but Schwabing pulsed as if the weekend refused to die. Munich's indie scene thrived on cheap tickets and cheaper beer, and 19-year-old Sonja Engelbrecht had no intention of wasting it. With Easter holidays looming, she'd traded a quiet study session for spontaneous live music, tagging along with her school friend Karen. Sonja, strawberry blonde, quick to tease, newly interning at a law firm, slipped into the venue wearing ripped Levi's and a multicolored batik scarf she'd dyed herself. Between sets, she scribbled band names in a notebook, dreaming she might review gigs for a local zine. When the amps finally died down after 01, the pair followed an acquaintance, Robert W., to his first-floor flat on Schellingstrasse for one last drink. Syllables blurred into the scent of clove cigarettes and warm pizza. Sonja phoned her parents in Lame at 1:20, promising to catch the night tram soon. Her father Klaus reminded her that her 14-year-old sister was already asleep, so keep the key quiet in the lock. Sonja laughed, pocketed her calling card, and returned to the kitchen where discussion had turned to pickup vans, rumored to prowl Stiglmaierplatz. She waved off the caution. "I'll be fine. Everyone's out tonight." By 02, the gathering thinned. Robert insisted they stay, but Sonja tugged Karen's sleeve. Work awaited in 5 hours. The flat stairwell echoed as they descended into drizzle. They headed southeast, intending to reach the N20 night tram off Nymphenburger Strasse. Munich's CCTV network was still embryonic. No lens tracked their steps. At 2:25, they stood under the amber street lamp of Stiglmaierplatz. Karen's shoes were soaked, and she begged Sonja to board the approaching tram with her. Sonja declined. She wanted to ring her older sister Sabine, who owned a car and could shorten the journey home. The phone booth, a plexiglass cube sprayed with club stickers, glowed like a portal. Karen climbed into the N20 at Zoo 228. Through rain-streaked glass, she watched Sonja lift the receiver, back turned, neon scarf fluttering. The tram doors hissed. Munich rolled away. That was the last uncontested sighting of Sonja Stephanie Engelbrecht alive. If a single phone call at 2:30 a.m. stood between you and safety, would you trust the night to guard those precious minutes, or sense the silent footfalls woven into rain? Investigators later deduced Sonja spoke to no one. Phone company logs showed a 5-second connection, just enough to dial but not speak. What happened next unspooled into myth. A taxi driver recalled a young woman flagging him at 02:35, then waving him on after peering inside. A baker setting dough at 3:10 swore he saw a blonde hitchhiking near Dachauerstrasse, but headlights can sculpt illusions. What is certain, by the time the first U-Bahn of the morning rattled above ground, Sonja was gone, swallowed by a city famed for safety and punctuality, yet shot through with alleys where no timetable runs. Her parents rang hospitals, friends, police. Officers penciled possible voluntary absence and suggested waiting 24 hours. She was 19, old enough, they said, to chase spontaneity. Her bedroom, postered with Pearl Jam and Rem, remained untouched. Purse, spare keys, internship papers still there. Klaus pressed hard. "My daughter left with 20 marks and a tram ticket. She didn't run off." Only the following afternoon did Munich homicide open file number HM95, 5 and 33. By then, drizzle had rinsed footprints from the booth, and Monday commuters scuffed away subtle traces. How loud must a family shout before bureaucracy admits that freedom sometimes ends in abduction, not adventure? Task Force Sonja assembled 40 officers, its name eventually etched into Munich folklore. They canvassed 80 witnesses, from club bartenders to late-shift street sweepers. Tips flooded, rumors of a white van, a man in a trilby, a flamboyant stranger offering ecstasy tablets. Detectives split Munich into sectors. Plainclothes cops infiltrated nightclubs, trailing whispers of a predator dubbed the Schwabing Lurker. But nightclub tribes thrive on hyperbole. No one produced a license plate, a recording, or a matching composite. Without CCTV, Soko relied on memory, an ironic currency prone to inflation. Meanwhile, sonar units dragged segments of the Y-STR River, snagging nothing but bicycles and supermarket trolleys. A psychic claimed Sonja had been lured into a building site. Cadaver dogs sniffed cement dust to no avail. By summer, budgets strained. The task force director faced cameras, conceded homicide is probable. Rumor carved fear into Munich's nightlife. Women traveled in packs, doormen checked IDs twice. And still the city partied beneath fluorescence, where Sonja's laughter once stitched itself into bass lines. When a city's entire underbelly yawns open for scrutiny and still yields nothing, is the killer extraordinarily cunning, or hiding in the glare of the obvious? Time weaponized itself. By the 5th anniversary, chatter around Sonja had thinned to a ghost note. Her mother Ingrid stopped spring cleaning the room, lest she erase the faint smell of vanilla shampoo. Klaus drove past Stiglmaierplatz weekly, parking near the booth as if expecting the night to rewind. Soko. Sonja shrank to a single detective, files shelved among unsolveds, while Germany's true crime appetite fattened on newer horrors. Yet Sonja's story refused extinction. Every few years, Aktenzeichen XY Ungelost aired a segment, actors reenacting the phone booth scene, lines of hope-hardened volunteers combing city parks. Hundreds phoned hotlines claiming they saw Sonja on Mediterranean beaches, working in Dutch cafes, living as an eco-monk in India. Each sighting collapsed under passport logs. The truth lay static, embalmed in stasis. Does hope sustain the search, or entomb the living in a prison of anniversaries and unanswered phone rings? July 2020, Kipfenberg Altmühl Valley Nature Reserve, nearly 100 kilometers north of Munich. Forestry workers thinning dead spruce roots uncovered a weather-bleached femur. County police assumed animal, but pathologists found human marrow. DNA keyed into the Bavarian missing persons database pinged crimson, Sonja Engelbrecht. After 25 years, the forest broke its vow of silence. Shock rippled. News anchors revisited dusty archives, printing those Polaroid grins anew. Forensic geologists matched soil on the femur to the surrounding Dolomite ravine, a narrow crevice accessible only by scrambling under mossy ledges. Whoever left her there knew terrain rarely tread by casual hikers. They likely returned repeatedly. Predators nanny their secrets. When the earth itself decides to speak, is it mercy or merely the start of a darker testimony yet to be understood? Armed with ground-penetrating radar and cadaver dogs, police expanded the dig. Under 6 inches of talus, they found vertebrae, rib shards, and the right half of a mandible, enough for dental confirmation. Intermixed were fragments of a tartan picnic blanket coated in latex house paint droplets. Investigators theorized Sonja's body had been wrapped, perhaps from a site under renovation, driven north and lowered into the cleft. Trace analysis revealed specks of vermilion lead primer common in 90s interior painting. Profilers posited a perpetrator in construction or contracting, someone with a van, tarps, and familiarity with Bavarian outcrops. Local hunters recalled a white Fiat Ducato parked erratically near the trailhead in spring '95. License records long purged, the clue fluttered uncertain. Yet the find reignited Soko Sonja, now cold case unit EK-17, with a 10 million tech budget. Bones traveled to the Netherlands for isotope testing. Preliminary readings suggested Sonja ate fish the day she died, consistent with the pizza dinner, but some analysts fixated on elevated sedative metabolites. Was she drugged before transport? When evidence resurfaces in pieces, can science reassemble not just the skeleton but the final moments of breath and struggle? Investigators dove into archived work permits, cross-matching painting contractors who owned white Ducatos and operated near Schellingstrasse in April 1995. One name glowed: Hans-Peter L., then 34, intermittently jailed for theft, last known address 10 kilometers from Kipfenberg. Interviewed in 1996, he'd claimed to be repainting hotel rooms the night Sonja vanished. The hotel had since demolished, logs lost. Now, DNA scraped from cigarette butts found near the crevice produced partial Y-STR, not excluding Hans-Peter's patrolin. Prosecutors weighed the fragmentary chain, partial match, witness memory, circumstantial geography. Hans-Peter, through counsel, denied involvement, citing decades-old alibi. Family pressure mounted. Ingrid appeared on Tagesthemen, voice tremoring. "Someone carried my daughter into that dark hole. Who keeps protecting him?" Public sympathy surged. Tips tripled, each demanding follow-up in dossiers already wobbling under their own weight. When suspicion clings to a name, yet proof remains spectral, how thin is the membrane separating justice from irreversible mistake? Enter proteomic profiling. Scientists extracted residual proteins from the plaid fibers, identifying dog dander and rare lacquer polymers matching 1990s German brands. Data fed into machine learning models cross-linked with pet registration and purchase databases. Of 312 painters flagged, only 5 owned collies and regularly bought that lacquer. Hans-Peter topped the overlap. Prosecutors felt momentum, but defense experts attacked novel methodology. Citing peer review gaps, courts demanded replication, months ticked. Parallel, AI parsed Munich's 1990-1996 emergency services radio logs, searching acoustic signatures matching tearful female voices outdoors after 2:30. One clip surfaced, a Mayday dispatcher note of muffled screaming near Olympia Park at 02:37. Voice biometrics against Sonja's answer machine archive yielded an 82% probability. Olympia Park lies en route to A9 northbound, the highway to Kipfenberg. If genuine, it suggests abduction minutes after Stiglmaierplatz. But 82% is still a maybe. When groundbreaking tech inches close to certainty, yet never fully locks, will the law evolve to meet science halfway? Or will the future always arrive just a step too late for yesterday's victims? The digital age turned Sonja's tragedy into crowdsourced obsession. Redditors geofenced every witness statement. TikTok sleuths reenacted the walk, timing traffic light phases. Some harassed Hans-Peter's grown children. Others hounded Robert W., who'd long emigrated. Police pleaded, "You may destroy admissible evidence." Yet certain leads popped only online. A painter's apprentice recalling a plaid blanket stuffed in a van's underside. A retired mechanic remembering unusual repairs on a white Ducato days after April 11. Klaus, now gray-templed, addressed the vigil. Justice is patience wearing work boots. That night, volunteers left chalk silhouettes along Sonja's probable route, each bearing the caption, "Could be you." Munich awoke to a boulevard of ghosts. When public passion blurs into mob glare, does it light the path toward truth, or cast deeper shadows where real monsters hide? Spring 2025. Bavarian prosecutors, armed with corroborated proteomics, Y-STR triangulation, and fresh witness testimony, file preliminary charges against Hans-Peter L. for aggravated homicide. Defense vows scorched earth rebuttal, but a judge schedules an evidentiary hearing. For the first time in 3 decades, the Engelbrecht family tastes the metallic flair of possible closure. Outside, reporters swarm, microphones poised. Ingrid clutches Sonja's batik scarf, colors faded but threads unbroken, much like the family's resolve. Kipfenberg's crevice is now sealed, a silent memorial. Whatever the verdict, Munich's most tenacious cold case has forced a reckoning. About evidence stewardship, about how swiftly missing adult assumptions can kill, about the stamina required to hold a candle against 30 years of wind. When justice finally knocks after 30 years, will the gavel's echo silence the mystery? Or will the unanswered hours between 2:30 and sunrise forever whisper a fate we can only imagine? Somewhere between that rain-lit phone booth and this hidden ravine, Sonja's final minutes are still trapped, waiting for the last witness, the last lab result, the last push from people who refuse to forget. If you recognize the plaid blanket, the white Fiat Ducato, or a painter who suddenly changed his routine in April 1995, speak up. Your single detail could swing the gavel after 3 decades of silence. Comment below with tips, memories, or theories, responsibly. Share this video on every platform. The wider the reach, the smaller the refuge for truth's enemies. Like, subscribe, and smash the bell so you never miss the moment justice finally echoes through Munich streets. Until every unanswered ring in that phone booth is finally returned, we'll keep the line open.